Hello and welcome to this episode of Weekly Bytes, where we take a tech topic and break it down for you in under 10 minutes. Last time we went over Terraform Init and we got our workspace ready with all the files it needs so that we can get cracking. So now that we have that, let's get going with Terraform Plan. Terraform is a bit like a person. A plan is what it thinks it needs to do based on what it knows. What do you mean, what it knows? Well, Terraform keeps track of all our configuration in its Terraform state. Now this is about plan, but I will mention some things about state. Just know that state is like Terraform's memory. It tells it what it knows about the outside world, and that state will always affect our plans. Now, I'm going on about how we do Terraform. If you're still wondering why we do Terraform, you might want to go back and watch this video. So let's bring up our config. Do you remember this guy?
Hello!
If you don't, you need to go back to our Terraform Init video. You'll find a link to that in the top right hand corner. Let's see what Terraform plans to do. Terraform tells us with all the plus symbols in the world that it's going to create this file for us. You'll also see a little summary underneath that, and that it says it's going to create this. It's also scolding us a bit that we didn't use the -out parameter. It's saying that it can't guarantee to take the actions that it mentions in this plan unless we do that. So let's do that and tack that option on. So that looks exactly the same except for one key difference. The plan has been saved to this file. We have a plan, let's go read it.
Huh?
But what language is this? Terraform plans are outputted in binary format. By default, we won't be able to just read this. All is not lost, friend. We can use Terraform Show to output this plan to something more human readable. Notice how that's similar to the plan we got before. We can also do things like output this plan to JSON by using -json and selecting our plan. Now when we output this at first, you'll see that it has a whole bunch of information. We're going to go over just the key points here to keep it short. In the configuration section, Terraform will tell us the structure of our configuration. We have another section called planned values, and that will tell us, yep, the values that our plan takes, all the things that we configure. We then have a resource changes section, which tells us stuff like which action Terraform plans to take, the state before and also after we will make this change. There are also some unknowns. These are things that Terraform will only know after running an actual apply. This isn't everything, but it's a good starter for looking at and understanding this file, and any clarification you may need, you can get from the Terraform reference documentation. Now, we know we can get a whole bunch of info from this, but let's not forget the main purpose of this plan. Let's go ahead and actually apply this plan. Awesome, we actually created a thing. But what happens if we run Terraform Plan again? There, right at the top, we're refreshing the state, and Terraform knows this thing exists already. Terraform state deserves its own video, but just so you know that by default it ends up in the terraform.tf state. And if we move that file up a directory and run a plan, we'll see something interesting. We've just inflicted short-term memory loss on Terraform. Let's restore its memory back. And sure enough, when we do that, everything will be back to the way it was before. So now let's see how Terraform deals with it when we go ahead and make a change. Let's change our file name here from foo.bar to foo.baz. Then let's run a plan. Looking at this, I hope a few things are clear. Terraform knows this thing exists. It understands that we have changed the file's name. It's making changes to the resource, and because the file name changes, a fundamental change, it forces a replacement, which is basically a delete, then a create. Terraform state tells it what it knows about the outside world, and that affects its plan. And if we output a plan, we can observe what the plan says. And if we apply that, you'll see sure enough it did that. It destroyed and created. We can create plans of creation, but there is also another side to this coin. What if, like a villain, our goals were destruction? If you are planning on getting rid of some stuff, you can do a plan to destroy as well. And if you apply that, you'll see we destroyed instead of created something. That's a wrap and the end of this weekly Byte on Terraform Plan. I hope that gave you value and helped demystify some of the things you didn't know about Terraform Plan. If it did give you value, there's easy ways to support the channel, all that good stuff, you know, like, comment, subscribe. But if you're looking for more of my content, you can just go over here and find that.